Many people recognise their inner voice only as a critic and a voice of doubt. I've learnt to consider mine a good friend. A critical inner voice is still a friend. It's just one that's been neglected, or it's become jaded by the world, or both. Your inner voice is always with you. I mean, you know as well as I do that it's going to offer its views whether you want them or not. When you ignore it, it's just going to shout louder. Because nobody likes to be ignored, and least of all this part of you that exists specifically to be your inner guidance system. Because that's what it is. That's its one job. To look after you, basically. If your inner voice is jaded and critical, there's a good chance that you feel that way a lot of the time too. If you believe that you're bad at everything and you're a failure in life, you probably find it easier to believe voices that affirm those things. And that's whether those voices come from other people outside of you, the outside world, or from inside you. And over time, your inner voice, that voice that perhaps gets ignored when it says good things, has learnt the kind of comments that you're going to listen to. It's doing what you trained it to do. The good news is that you're the one who gets to retrain it, and it's easy to do. First, you've just got to decide to make friends. So, how do we repair that relationship? Well, think about how you would build any relationship. You give it attention. You learn about each other, and over time you start to build some trust. Most of us have been taught to rely on outside information, much more than trusting that inner guidance. And that's why so many of us have a difficult relationship with this friend inside. Every time you practice soul scripting, you're saying to this voice, okay, tell me everything, I'm listening to you. When it says something unkind or critical, you can write about how that makes you feel, and doing that creates a dialogue with this part of you. Every time you start a new exercise, that's like introducing a new topic of conversation. Now, I know this might sound complicated the way that I'm explaining it here, but it really isn't. All of the exercises are super simple. There's no wrong way to approach them, and they're just there to spark your creativity. So there's no, you can take them where you want to take them. I mean, if you've ignored your inner voice for a long time, be prepared for the fact that it might complain. It might say all kinds of random things and, bring up TV programs that you haven't thought about since the 1980s. These are the things that can happen when you finally say to this part of yourself, okay, I'm listening, and it goes, great, okay, and jumps in. Try not to judge. Try not to block its flow. When that happens, just see if you can give it your attention. It's worth it. If you've ever meditated, you'll have experienced something like this before. So maybe you've sat in meditation and found all kinds of bizarre thoughts and images popping up into your head, more busy brained than ever. That's this part of yourself taking full advantage of the space that you've created to listen to it. But the good news is that anytime you honour that voice and anything it's got to say, however ridiculous that thing might seem, you are taking steps to strengthen the most important relationship in your life. While soul scripting, if you can allow words to spill onto the page without editing them and without blocking yourself from writing about certain things, your inner voice will start to feel nourished and heard. Imagine like a toddler that's telling you a nonsense story. You'd let them tell it, wouldn't you? You'd listen. And if you really gave that child your attention and the space for it to speak and maybe a few kind words, it would develop. It would learn to trust itself and you and to become a confident communicator. And under those conditions, growth and refinement are inevitable. So treat your inner voice the way you treat the child. Give it your time. Give it your attention. Give it a few kind words of encouragement and just watch it become less jaded and less critical. Remember, this part of you is designed to be your inner guidance system. So as it grows in trust and confidence and refinement, it's going to become more helpful to you too. Believe me, there is no end to the insight and magic that this friend can access and create.